Johnny's got a secret that he wants to share. Cleaning up your comics with the utmost care. Press it real smooth, make the covers pop. Take that grade higher, straight to the top. At Johnny's Comic Stuff, where the magic starts. Bring your books to life, give them brighter hearts. Clean, press, submit, watch the value rise. Turn that hidden gem into a certified prize. Dust and dirt gone like they weren't there. Wrinkles flattened out like they disappeared. From golden to modern, every age and line. Johnny's got the touch, making treasures shine. At Johnny's Comic Stuff, where the magic starts. Bring your books to life, give them brighter hearts. Clean, press, submit, watch the value rise. Turn that hidden gem into a certified prize. CGC's in sight, now dreams come true. Slabs and grades, new life for you. Color pops, pages glow. Johnny knows comics, that's how it goes. At Johnny's Comic Stuff, where the magic starts. Bring your books to life, give them brighter hearts. Clean, press, submit, watch the value rise. Turn that hidden gem into a certified prize.
All right, guys. Happy Sunday. Hope everyone's doing well. You can see we got a nice book sitting here on the table we're going to be working on today. Before I get into that, hey, Rich, welcome to the show. I did want to do a little bit of housekeeping. So Fan Expo Chicago is coming up in about a month. I think it's the 15th of August through the 17th. I will be there. I do have press credentials, so I'll be getting some footage. So if you're in Chicagoland or in the area, you're going to be attending that convention, hit me up. We'll meet up, say hi, whatever. But yeah, it should be fun. It's always a good convention. It's very heavy on like celebrities. So there's a lot of big celebrities usually come to Fan Expo, where C2E2 is a little less on the celebrity side, more on the artist side. So if you're big into artists, Fan Expo's not really a great convention for that. But if you're into the celebrity stuff and then just general comic book convention stuff, great show. So I will be there, Fan Expo, August 15th to 17th. Come check it out. So Incredible Hulk Annual 1, pretty iconic cover, pretty famous cover. Jim Steranko did it. It's very, very cool book. You know, Hulk getting crushed. I did pick this up from Bryce Comics in a trade. I wasn't sure what I was going to do, if I was just going to keep it as is or try and submit it. So I did look at it really good and check the notes before I decided to open it up. So just talking about the notes, if you're going to crack a book and you're going to try and clean it up, press it, resubmit it, always check the notes first. You know, there may be things on there you don't see. There may be a tear somewhere you can't see through the case, or a stain that you didn't notice that you might not be able to work out. But this book specifically, the notes on it says crease left top of back cover. So you can't really see it through the case, but there is a small crease here that we should be able to work out. Crease bottom right of back cover. I can't see that at all. Usually you can see a little more once they're out of the case. It might be this corner because the bottom, it also says light crunch, left bottom of whole book, light crease, left center of back cover. So again, creases are good. We can work out creases. Crunch, you can kind of see it. It's hard to make out really well, but you can see right in that corner, there is a small little crunch. Some of that you can work out. It really just depends. These books you can do a lot with square bounds. A lot of people are afraid of square bounds because they press differently. They're a little harder. So what I'm going to do is go through the techniques. And I have 2 different books to go through to show you with this square bounds. This book was printed in the 60s. So the way they did a square bound in the 60s is they staple all the interior pages together and then glue the cover on top of it. Where we're going to work at this book too. And this book is basically the same way without the staples. So this book does not have any interior staples, which actually makes it a little easier to work on. There's no staples on the inside edge here. You can see on the Hawk, if you look on the back, you can kind of see the dimple right there where the staple is. I don't know how well it shows up on camera. You have to be real careful when you're pressing these where that staple is because it will break through the cover if you don't do it right. So first things first, we're going to use my 2 very important tools for this technique, and these are the only times I ever use these 2 tools. Well, I use one a lot for opening cases. The screwdriver, use that a lot, but on this case, we're also using this fancy tool, which is a hammer. Don't be afraid. I've done this many a times. These newer cases that CGC uses are very tough to remove. I'm not going to remove it I'm not going to crack the case on cover just because the table will wobble, but you'll hear me hammering this book on the floor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this up here where there's no chance of damaging the book, up at the label, and I'm going to take a hammer and hammer this till it just presses through and cracks this, and then I should be able to pry it open the rest of the way. So we're going to take this off camera for just a second. Again, don't do this on a book that's high value the first time you do it. Get a feel for how it works. It's actually not that tough. It's just a little bit intimidating the first time you do it. And the key to it is just make sure you're doing it where the blue is, where the label is, not where the book is. I know it's scary sounding, right? Terrifyingly scary. I get it. But we'll show you. I'll pull it up just like I have it. And you can see right there, I'm just in the corner there. I've got enough in there where I can get in there and pry it out. That's all we were trying to do is just get that started. Again, these newer cases, credit to CGC, they're very hard to get into, which means it's very difficult to counterfeit, switch out like they've had issues in the past with. You can see it's glued all the way along here. On the old ones, it was just glued in the corner. Now they glue it all the way around. So you still want to hold it. Be careful. You don't want to put a big crease in the book or stab yourself in the arm like I just did. And just work around. This case will probably break at some point where the crack will stop separating along the seam and actually crack. I get that a lot. On square bounds, they do use a thicker case, which makes it a little less prone to do that. On a standard book, I always get the case will like crack right here, and then I just kind of have to break it out. But again, the whole time we're keeping the screwdriver well away from the book. You don't want to get near the book, take a chance of damaging the comic, especially like this is a pricey book as is. This is every bit of fair market value, $1,000, $1,200 with a potential to get up to like a 9.4 or 9.6. Then you're talking, $1,500, $1,800, $2,000 plus. So we'll just keep working around till we get enough. And keep in mind, if you've never cracked the case before, the book is still protected by an inner well inside here. So you'll see that in a minute. If you've not watched my videos before or seen one of these before, you'll see it's still protected from any scratches or scrapes from the screwdriver. So we're just going to lightly get my hands in there and slide it out. So it's free at last. It's actually not been graded very long. It looks even a lot better outside of the case. The case does dull the color up a little bit. So hear me crack and peel and still. I'm taking this out too. Again, always send these back to CGC so they can update the registry. This book is no longer a 9.2 on the registry. So what you need to do is send that back in so that if you're looking to see how many books of this grade exist, well, 192 no longer exists because we just got rid of it. So we're done with the hammer. We're done with the screwdriver. I'm going to set those aside. And then, the next thing up, a book like this high grade, high gloss book, these are critical on this. Make sure you are using your gloves on a book like this, even at this stage, because there are steps now where we're going to be touching the book. And what we don't want is a fingerprint or some grease from our hands to transfer, remove a little bit of the color. So we got all that out. With square bounds, I typically do use scissors on square bounds rather than an X-Acto knife on the edge, just because they sit a little differently. They sit a little better. So what I'm going to do is just tap it so it's down as far away from the edge as I can get it. They don't bend as bad as a normal book does either. So just be careful going down the edge. Don't, kick in and not pay attention. Just take your time. And then make sure you're in far enough. So I'm not quite in far enough. So I'm going to go in a hair more. What you want to do is get inside this. There's a melt seam. You want to be inside the melt seam, but away from the book. The other thing with this book specifically, it's got this, you can see this line right here. Like an angled line of plastic here and here. That's a spacer to keep this in here nice and snug. That actually makes it harder to take out of these. When you get to that layer of plastic you have to cut through. So again, just be careful as you're cutting it. And make sure you can see it's almost starting to crease stop. And because it's giving me a little problem, I'm just going to go to the X-Acto knife because it's pretty easy with an X-Acto knife as long as you have a sharp blade. Just butter sharp, or cutting like cotton butter when it's this sharp. It's a brand new blade. Always use a new blade. These X-Acto knife blades they're pretty inexpensive. I think I got a pack of 100 for like $15. So I'll use this one time and then I'll throw it away. I'm not going to try and reuse it. See that? Do you hear that sound? That's that spacer. It's trying to cut through both. Got a weird glare. It's making it hard to see, so I want to make sure I don't cut through my book. Looks like we're good. So you don't have to cut all the way through. You just got to get the top layer broken loose. So I'll just run it through real nice and fine. Make sure that we're clear. Let's see, double check there. Looks like there's a little hanging on there. Make sure we're clear there. And then tap again. Do your tap just to get it down to one edge. So we're going to get it as far away from this edge as we can. And same thing. We're just going to stay in that space between the book and the well. I'm actually pushing this way a little bit on the knife to keep the edge of it up against that well. That way, if it does slip, it doesn't slip into the book. And then sometimes this corner won't be completely clear because it's where we started. So just go back and pop it up. So we're pretty close now. Again, that inner spacer creates a lot of issues. They use it sometimes they don't. So we're pretty clear here, but I don't want to try and take the book out now because it'll scratch on the corners. So I'm going to actually do the bottom now because of that spacer pushing in, it's pushing against this edge here, and I won't be able to get it away from the edge very good. So I'm just going to do a little tap, and we're going to do a lot softer tap this time because we don't want it going past our cut. Because again, it could catch, hang up, or whatever. And you don't want that. We're still pretty close here, so you just got to be really careful. Again, you take your time, pay really close attention. If it starts to hang up or you have to put any extra force at all on it, stop. Go back. Start again. So you see, nice, steady, easy. All the way to it. Cut it loose, and we're free. So now we can just open it up like a book. Pop that book right out of there. So she's free. So this book probably doesn't need much cleaning at all, but we're still going to do it just in case. You never know. This book may have been cleaned prior to being submitted. It may not have. You just never know. So we'll just give it a light brush. It's actually, the gloss is really nice on this. Make sure you don't use, you can feel like right there and right there is a staple. You don't want to push too hard on those staples. Take a chance of messing up the cover. We're probably not going to get any dirt at all off of this, but we'll check. Yeah, so nothing. That's good. Like I said, this was just submitted in the last year. Hey, JSS. So high probability it went through a press and clean. I do see the crease they talked about right there now. It's about, there's no way you're going to see it on the camera, but it goes from right here to right here. And we should be able to get rid of that. I think that'll come out. So that's good to see that it's something we can remove. I'm not going to do the full clean here. I'm just going to kind of go over some of the techniques with Squarebound. So we're going to finish drying it off. I will do a dry clean with an eraser on the back of this, but I'm not going to do that today with you guys. I'm going to go through some of the other techniques that you need to know when you're doing Squarebounds. So something else I can see right now is there's a fingerprint mark right there on the organizations word. I think that that'll come off with an erase. I'll have to look. Nice, beautiful white pages. So let's talk about Squarebounds. So when you're pressing a Squarebound, this is critical, the square edge. It is by far the most important thing. What you don't want, heat is bad because this is glued. You can see on the inside, we'll open it up. You can see there's two staples and there's some glue, and you can actually see where that glue's came off a little bit here. So I'm going to use a little bit more heat and hopefully retack that glue some. But you can see the staples here, and you can see where it's got that glue line. As you go in, your inside, you do a lot of inside layers on this. They'll only go as far as the staples go. There are lots of different thoughts and ideas on how to do the inside paper. I'm going to show you how I do it. But what you want to start with is your stacking layers. And again, keep in mind, as I'm leaning away and I'm probably a little quieter, we're going to go through the stacking layers on this. But again, I am going to undo all these layers and clean it later. So we're going to start with what we do first, and I'm going to move the book. So I got one magazine size board here. This one here, the inside one. There's a whiteboard behind it that's a larger one. So we're talking about the inside board, and then shiny side up on your SRP paper, silicone release paper, and then we're going to lay it and make sure it's centered. So this step that I'm doing now is just to measure. And what I'm going to measure is basically a protection for the spine. So I got a bunch of pre-cut backing boards. What's up, Eric? And what I want to do is lay them on top of, and the reason I do this because that's exactly what I'm going to be using. And we want to lay them up against this edge and get really close to this. You still want to be able to press on it when it presses, but what we're doing is we're creating a spacer so that when I close my press, it doesn't allow the press to smash this. And it's going to go right up against the book like this. But every Squarebound book is a little bit different. It could be, the staples could be thicker, causing it to be thicker. Modern versus older. They're all a little different. So actually, I'm pretty close right now with this. I'm going to take one off and see how close it is. And this is all feel. Like it's not, there's no like rule, like it has to be this close or that close. So if I take one off, it's a little bit lighter than I want it to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and add one back to it. And I'm going to use it like this. And I'm just going to apply a hair more pressure than I normally would to try and compensate for these to get a nice, good press. I have a bunch of these pre-made, just various thicknesses, just so I have them available to grab. But I wanted to show you guys the process of what I do so you can kind of understand it if you want to do it yourself. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take these out and I'm going to tape them together. And I'm going to keep that edge nice and snug. And I'm just going to use masking tape. I got to take my glove off for this, for the masking tape. And again, this is just to hold them together. It's not doing anything other than that, keeping them nice and grouped together. So I'm going to take a little piece of masking tape, just a little one. I'm going to tap them down, make sure the end's tight, and I'm just going to tape it here. And what you want to do is make sure you press it down really good because you don't want any extra thickness. But what you want to do is this way, not this way. Because if it's this way, to go up against the book. You don't want it up against the book. You want it on the end. So just put one of those on each end. Tearing off another little piece of tape. And that's all it is. It's just it's a little spacer, just to keep. Cheap way to make this so we don't smash the book. I'm gonna put my glove back on so I don't get any new fingerprints on. There are a couple fingerprints on it I saw that I don't want to add to that. They're very, very light fingerprints. I'm struggling with this glove. I'm glad you guys can't see me trying to put this thing on. All right, it's on. I'm re-gloved. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the stacking layers. In a normal comic, you would use like a 1 page of copy paper or 65 pound, whatever you decide, right here between the cover and the back, or the cover and the first page. You would put a centerfold piece, usually a backing board or a half back, and then you would put another one in the back between here and here. So this doesn't have a centerfold because it's a square bound. There's no center staple like there would be on a square bound. So what you do on these is a little bit different. I got a stack of just regular 20-pound printer papers, and I'm going to go inside the cover with the page, and then I'm going to go 2 pages. So I'm going to go 1, 2, and then I'm going to insert another one. And what you have here is you can't go in all the way to the cover, to the back of the cover, because the staples stop it. Some people notch these papers out and wedge it in there. I don't do that because I feel like it creates too much pressure on the paper between the staples, and I just don't like that. It doesn't affect it negatively if you don't do that, from what I can tell. So I don't do that. I just put them in there. So inside between the cover and the first page, 2 pages in, and then we're going to go 4 pages. 1, 2. Oh, see, this is a good reason to go through this too. This is the acid paper. I got to restart my count because I lost count. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to stick another one in. Again, just get in there best you can. We got another thing we're going to do at the end here to help that. And then we'll go 4 more all the way through the book. 4 pages at a time. And what will happen, it should come up when we get 2 pages from the back. It'll be in counts of 4, and then that'll be our last one. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There's probably going to be another piece of acid paper in here too, given that there was one in the front. There's usually one in the back too. So we're going to 1, 2, 3, 4. Come on, count along with me, guys. It's like Sesame Street, like the count. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 comic book pages. 4. If you're a little younger, you might not have grown up on the street like I did, but I definitely grew up on Sesame Street every day after kindergarten. So we're going to keep counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're getting close to the end now. And I'm using my hand. My left hand is actually supporting all these pages so that we're not folding the cover back. It's just got a nice curl to it. 1, 2, 3. This should be the last one. We should have a page here, and then there should be 2 pages, and then we should be at the back cover. So 1, 2, oh, no, 3. I must have miscounted one somewhere. Not a big deal if there's 3 pages there at the end. We'll just slide that last one in. And the last one you're going to slide all the way up because there's no staples. You can also use 65-pound cardstock on your covers if you want on the cover interior pages. So what I do now is I take it, and it's hard to show it, but I'm going to just lightly tap it on the back and help wedge those pages down. Because if you see, they're all in different spots. Like, you don't want that. So you can kind of work them in one page at each. Just kind of give it a little push. The first one's always good because it's the first one you put in. It should be right up against the spine. And you can see that here, and here it is. But then you can just give it a little push. Make sure you're up all the way against the staples. And you will have a little bit of variation from book to book on these just because the staples vary so much in these where they have them. So I'm not going to go through all that. Like I said, I'm going to do some more work to this off camera. And what I'll probably do is I'll probably do a quick press, like a 15-minute press with this on very, very low heat, like 120 degrees. And then I'll probably, with light pressure, then I'm going to replace these interior papers with that 65-pound and do a little bit more pressure, and that will protect the cover from the staples so they won't break through. And again, so we have our bottom stacking layer is the backing board, magazine size backing board, and then we have our SRP. And you'll line those up just like that. And then what you'll do is you'll put this in next and make sure that it's inside of those, and then lay your book on top of it. Now, you should feel a little bit of a raise now because of all the pages between your back support and the edge of this book. So to me, this is really good. Like I said, I got to clean up these pages a little bit. It's a little hard with the space I have here, but it's a lot easier for me to do offline. But I'm going to clean it, do a little bit of steam work to it. Might even rollerball a little bit. And then on top, you put another piece of SRP. I think I got one handy. Again, shiny side down, facing the book. And then just our magazine board on top. And it's ready to go. So I won't put it in the press like this. I'll assemble it like this inside the press. Just because when you start transferring this much together, it's very easy to mess it up, especially with the Squarebound. So with the Squarebound, for me, I put the bottom board and the SRP in first. Then I put this back support in there. Then the book. And then I lay these on top, make sure they're nice and squared up and where I need to be. And then press. And I'll do normal pressing techniques on this. The same thing I do with like a standard comic book. But what I do with this is much lower temperature. And again, that's because of the glue on the spine. I don't want this glue to smash or melt or bubble. I do much shorter increments. Usually I put it under the heat. I let it stay under the heat for 15 minutes, and I turn it off and let it sit for, I have a couple different techniques. Sometimes I'll do a 4-hour. I'll let it sit for 4 hours and then take it out and and sometimes I'll just go straight 24 hours after that first press. On this one, I won't go 15 minutes. I'll go like 5 minutes under the heat. And again, it's lower heat. It's about 130 degrees. I'll go about 5 minutes, and I'll let it sit for usually like 2 or 3 hours. And then I pull it back. I take it out, take a look, make sure I don't see any issues, and then run again. Yeah, the aha. I love the Count, Eric. That was probably one of my favorite Sesame Street characters. So I do think this book has a lot of potential for a bump. It's a very, very clean book. The corners are super sharp. It might not. It might come back a 9.2. It could come back a 9.0. To me, it's worth rolling the dice because I see some defects on this that I can make improved. And, it's worth a shot. I may lose a little bit on it, but at the end of the day, this book is for the PC. I think I'm going to keep this one. So no matter what happens with it, I'm going to be happy. So again, the Silver Age, the big key to watch on Silver Age and some of the copper and bronze is the staples. So let's look at a book that's not got the staples. So we'll look at this X-Men Annual 14. Everything is basically the same process with this. except for the fact that I don't ever use anything inside this except for printer paper. I don't ever use 65-pound cardstock. I don't ever use any other cardstock because there are no staples, and that's the big reason for using that. This may work, it may not. At a glance, it looks like it might be okay. It may be a hair too high, so I might have to get another one of these with less. And like I said, I have 3 or 4 different thicknesses sitting up there on my press. But again, everything else is the same on this. You're going to go through the same process of cleaning. You're going to go through. I don't typically use a lot of steam on anything after like 1988 ish. But like that Hawk book, I will steam the hell out of that book. I will get it damp almost to the touch. It will be very pliable so that I can work out those wrinkles. Because what you can see and what's really common is on these newer ones, they got a nice square edge, where on the books with the staples, there's a lot of waving through it, where it waves through, and it's because of the staples and the way that they manufactured it. These newer books in, late 80s, 90s to modern stuff, the manufacturing process is much different. It's much more precise than what you would have seen. And as an X-Men fan, I do not believe that this is the first appearance of Gambit. So for debatable first, it's 266. Chris Claremont said it out of his mouth. X-Men 266 is the first appearance of Gambit. But this is still a great early Gambit book in my mind, and one that I feel is worth grading because I'm pretty sure it's a 9.8. Again, you can also see this little crease. You might be able to see this. This will work out really well. It's the reading crease. As long as it's not breaking color, let's see if I can get it to where you guys can see it. Yeah, so there you go. Right on the edge, you see that crease that runs the edge? That usually will go away. And what that's from is when, a kid bought this, when he was reading it, he's holding it like that, and that back, it would create that light crease. If that crease has color breaking, you're done. You'll get destroyed on a grade on Squarebounds with that crease, if it's got a color breaking crease down there, because you can't get rid of the color break. And it's a full length crease. It's a massive crease. You'd have less of a ding if the corner was cut off. So that's something to look for. A lot of ones that are bad for that are the cardstock, like Legends of the Dark Knight or the Frank Miller Dark Knight series. Those books are a cardstock cover, and when people bought those and read them, they would fold the cover back, and it's instantly creased. Yeah, it does cause the way. It can a little bit, Eric. It just depends. It's usually right at the staples, and I don't know. I think it's partly because of how they were probably delivered, but I think it's just like if you have 10 of them in a stack, you're going to get more of a wave because that staple is pretty much in the same spot. So you're going to have 10 that are thick right here. So the bottom couple are going to get a big dip between the staples just from the weight. But I think over time too, I think they just tend to wrinkle up when people open them and look at them. They just, the glue's not consistent on those either. I've had a few and if you've ever seen like a coverless Squarebound, the glue will come down and then it'll like come into the book like here, like they spilled into the book, and then it'll be really light here and then it'll spill back in. I think that has a lot of impact on it too. I'm not an expert by any means on that, but I know it's very common. Giant size X-Men 1 is notorious for having that big dip in it. I actually have one right here. We can kind of look at it. I'm not cracking this. I've looked at this. I decided I'm not going to crack it. But you can see like it dips down. You can't see it, but it dips down here. And then the staples right here. And then you have another big dip here, a dip here. You have another staple right there. And it's just got a lot of wave to it. Yeah, this book's unfortunate because I think I can improve it. I just don't think it would go above an 8.0. I think it would look better, and it would press out nice. I could get it a little bit brighter, but there's a lot of color breaking on the black that I couldn't do much about, and I'm afraid you get the wrong grader, it goes to a 7.5, and it's just not worth the risk. But it sucks because the whole edge is folded over here, and it just looks like shit. And I could get rid of that, but it'd be at the risk of a 7.5. And the grader's notes on this, it does say spine split right there, and you can see it on the bottom corner. If I get the light out, you might be able to see it. There's a spine split right at the bottom, and I just don't want to chance it. But yeah, this book is also notorious. I think the white cover makes it stand out more when you have that wave. But you can see there's like a dimple down where it dimples down into the book, and it's the staples right above that. So it's always around the staples. Good book though. That's a yeah. It's not broken. It's not broken. It's a great book. It's better than the one I had. I had a 7.5. The one on Bry's right now, the 7.5 on Bry's was my old one. And I actually bought the one that Bry's got up now for as a 6.5 and cracked it, pressed it, and got it to a 7.5. And then it was part of the trade for this as an 8. I got to tell you, too, man, the more I look at this, the more I want to crack it out and press it. I just, man, it's just risky on a book this pricey. It's like, how much can I get? How much growth can I get? And, this is a PC book. As an X-Men guy, like, unless I get better than an 8, like, this book's staying with me. If I ever get an 8.5 or a 9, then I would move this book. But, this is going to be what my kids sell when I die. That's what this book is to me. So, yeah, it's a tough one. The yellowing's what kills me on this one because they don't really ding you too much for the yellowing, but it's got a lot of yellowing in the center, and it's real common in these books too. But you can also see right here on the yellow, you can see that black mark. That's the staple almost breaking through. So there's also a risk if you try and press it, you could finish that off and go through a little more. Yeah, I've had a couple, and every time I've traded to get a better one. I don't have Incredible Hulk 181, so I've had it and I've traded it. Like the last one I had. I traded in the X-Men 1 deal, so that's kind of the book I'm looking to get picked up reasonably because that's a pretty big X-Men key. But yeah, the Squarebounds are, like I said, I mean, I've done a lot of work on a lot of Squarebounds. I've not done too many DC. I don't know how many DC did back in the 70s and 80s. I know even the giant-sized books, or the 80-page giant. I think that's the only ones they have, and I don't think they use staples in theirs. So they're a little bit different. But usually those DC Squarebounds, man, they're just usually trashed. Like when I pick one up, if it's got pressable defects, like the book's so trashed, it's not even worth picking it up and trying to improve it. And if it's not trashed, it usually doesn't need a press. Like, I don't know, they used better paper than Marvel did. They had the system down. They'd been making books for 30, 40 years before Marvel was even like Marvel. So, I think they had a lot more experience, probably were doing their own printing and pressing. But DC books are a lot different with Squarebounds. Yeah, I'm the same way with that book, man. It's easy to find little flaws. Everyone I ever see is yellowed, which I hate. So I'm not going to keep rambling. I just wanted to go over some of the techniques for Squarebounds. Like I said, that Incredible Hulk by no means is done. I'm going to do some more work offline. The press is actually full right now. I'm finishing up some books for JSS. So once his books get done, this is the next book in the press. And I'll be going through. Like I said, this will get a good steam. I don't do the soak I don't put it in the steam chamber. I just use the steamer gun. I think it works better. It lets me hit spots. I don't want to use a lot of steam on the edge because it could it could kind of separate the glue a little bit, but I do want to use a lot of steam on this corner and try and work that out manually, not in the press. And then I'll put a lot on the outside edges. But yeah, like I said, this is a pretty big book. It's a beautiful book too. And I'm sure it doesn't translate as well in camera as it is here in person, but it's really it's a sharp book. It's hard to find much as far as defects on it. I'll be honest too, looking at their notes when they say crease on the back left cover. I don't know what they're seeing unless there's like a little scuff thing up here. But man, if they're getting deductions for that little scuff thing, I mean, they were really picking this book apart. But it could use a little cleaning. There's a little dirt there. There's a tiny little crease there that'll press out. I think a lot of times with Squarebounds, people are afraid to use too much pressure because of this, and they don't get enough pressure over here to get this what it needs to get the little tiny dings and nicks and bends out. So this is what helps you with that. This keeps you from crushing your spine. Don't be afraid to go a little thick on this. The first time, you could always take a layer out, or you could put some paper instead of, if you need half of the thickness of a backing board, you can use a couple pieces of cardstock or whatever. What's happening, Dope? But yeah, this will save your book 100 times out of 100, as long as you have the right thickness. So when you're pressing it, it doesn't crush that. But yeah, that's all I got today, guys. Like I said, hopefully, if you're going to press some Squarebounds, don't start on a book like this. Definitely don't start on a book like this. There's lots of examples of books from the 60s that are much cheaper that you can get to practice on. If you ever have questions, feel free, hit me up on Instagram. If you're going to press some books and you have a question, you're not sure, there's plenty of good resources online as well. Take advantage of those. Usually the people in this community are pretty forthcoming. They don't have trade secrets. It's not like I'm doing something I'm not going to share with you guys. That's my, proprietary thing. So if you ever have questions, feel free, drop a comment, ask a question on the video. Feel free, Johnny Shapo on Instagram. Hit me up there if you have questions. I'm more happy to try and help you get through it. But practice on lower grade stuff, stuff that's you're not gonna be devastated if you destroy. And then just to follow up, Fan Expo next month in August, Chicago Fan Expo at Rosemont. I will be there as a media attendee, so I got the media badge. Eric, I know, is applied as well, so hopefully he can get his media badge as well, and we can create some content at Fan Expo. It's always a good convention. It's nice that it's outside of Chicago. It's not right downtown, so it's easy to get in and out of. C2E2 is an awesome thing, and it's a great thing, but it's right downtown, so you're right in the middle. If you're coming with your family, you've never been to Chicago, C2E2 is a great one to go to, but Fan Expo is great, especially, like I said, if you're into the celebrity stuff. I think they got like Ewan McGregor. Check their webpage out, fanexpo.com, the Chicago. They got a bunch of, there's some people that's like, why is this person at a comic book convention? But, there's some interesting people for sure. And it's always cool to see those people. I don't ever go get signatures, but it's cool to see them from a distance and be like, oh, wow, there's Peggy Bundy. So, yeah, thanks for popping in, guys. I hope you learned something or you enjoyed the content either way. And hopefully in a couple of months, we'll have this book unboxing as a 9.4 or 9.6, and it will look amazing. And I will sell it for $1 billion because that's what it'll be worth to me. So I hope you guys have a good rest of your Sunday. Keep collecting by the good stuff, which the good stuff is whatever you collect. And keep passing on the hobby, share the information, talk to the youngsters. We got to keep this thing rolling. So we'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.
A hero rises in the night's embrace, with shadows dancing on a masked face. Pages turn where legends collide. In this world we take a wild ride. Claws flash out a metal screen. Cave shadows chase a fleeting dream. Webs entangle up in the air. Heroes heed the call when danger's there. Johnny's comic stuff, take the stage. Bright and bold from panel sky. Through tangled webs and hearts made of gold, stories unravel and truths are told. Villains rise, but they always fall. Heroes stand strong, they answer the call. Spandex suits and a will of steel, a world of fiction you can almost feel. Stories that shape a hero's plight, burning bright in the darkest fight. Johnny's comic stuff take the stage, bright and bold from panel to page. X-Men battle in the stormy tide, Batman glides through the moonlit sky.